How are my great nieces doing today? I want to read another book today because a cool thing happened. A giant spaceship launched today in Florida, and they launched a car into space. It's headed towards Mars. I don't know why they put a car in space. It's kind of silly, but I love space. So today I want to read you guys a book about planets because it's something that has always been very interesting to me, and hopefully I can share that interest with you today. This book is by Gail Gibbons, the same woman that I read you the book to yesterday about the forests. On the first page, it shows the sun in the center, and it shows our entire solar system. Do you know what the solar system is? I'm sure the book's going to explain it later, but I know this kind of stuff because I love planets. It's the sun and all of our planets. And it's going to, Mercury is the closest one to the sun, and then there's Venus. Earth is the third closest to the sun, and then there's Mars, and that's where they tried to send that car today. It's going to take it a long time for it to get there, but the rocket has got a car headed toward Mars today. And then there's Jupiter, which is the biggest planet in our whole solar system. Saturn is the one with the rings around it. Then we go all the way out to Uranus and Neptune, and the farthest, smallest planet away is Pluto. And Pluto is now called a dwarf planet. And probably the book will talk a little bit about what a dwarf planet is. On a clear night, when stars shine brightly, you might see what looks like another star. But each night it changes position in the star patterns. If that happens, it's a planet. The word planet comes from the Greek word meaning wanderer. All the planets except Earth are named after Greek and Roman gods and goddesses. Usually, if you look up in the night sky and it's early in the evening, the brightest thing you see is probably going to be a planet. It's not a star. A planet is different from a star. People can see a planet because the sun shines on it. A star shines because it's made up of burning gases that give off light and heat. Our sun is a star. Nearly every star is much bigger than the biggest planet. In very early times, people knew of 6 planets. There were Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Later, 3 more were discovered. Do you know why it took until later to discover those 3 other planets? Because the human eye couldn't see them. They had to wait till we developed special equipment like telescopes to be able to help us see those other planets. Today there are 8 planets in our solar system. In 2006, Pluto was designated a dwarf planet. Planet Earth, right here, that's us. That's where we live. It's one of the planets that circle around the sun. Together, they make up the main part of the solar system. The word solar means connected to the sun. The planets circle around the sun in paths called orbits. So each of our different planets have an orbit that we follow. It takes us 365 days to go around the sun one time. The time it takes for a planet to travel around the sun is its year. Each planet's year is different. Now, you should know, I just told you, how many days does it take for the Earth to travel around the sun? 365. That is our orbit time. While a planet is orbiting around the sun, it's also moving in another way too. It spins or rotates like a top. The time it takes for a planet to rotate is its day. Each planet's day is different. While a planet is rotating, part of it faces the sun, and then when that happens, it's daytime there. On the other side, the side not facing the sun, guess what that is? Oh, you guys are smart. You're right. It's nighttime. It's dark because it's away from the sun. How long do you think it takes for the Earth to rotate one complete circle? I bet you can guess. It's 24 hours. Every 24 hours, the Earth completes a complete rotation. People can look up on a clear night and they might see Mercury or Venus, Mars, Jupiter, or Saturn. A planet looks like a steady point of light. A star twinkles. A telescope is needed to see Uranus, Neptune, and the dwarf planet Pluto, because they're very far away from the planet Earth. Mercury is the planet closest to the sun. It's about 36 million miles away. I don't know what to relate that to, girls, because that's a really, really still long ways away. During the day, it's extremely hot on Mercury. During the night, it's bitter cold because Mercury doesn't have any atmosphere to keep its heat from escaping. Do you guys know what atmosphere is? Atmosphere is a layer of air. The atmosphere is what we have around the Earth that allows us to breathe and be alive. Mercury doesn't have any atmosphere. Mercury is the smallest planet in our solar system. It's made up of rock and metal. That sounds kind of boring. 1 year on Mercury is only 88 Earth days. Wow, you should ask your mom to help you do the math to figure out how many years old you would be if you lived on Mercury, because every 88 days you'd have a birthday instead of on Earth where you have a birthday every 365 days. That would be a fun math problem. That's how long it takes for Mercury to orbit the sun. Mercury rotates very slowly, so its days are very long. A day on Mercury is 59 Earth days. Oops, forget I said that, because 59 Earth days for one of our days, oh my goodness, that's a very long time. Venus is the second planet from the sun. It is usually the brightest object in our sky. Other than our sun and moon, it's what you can usually pick out and see easiest in the early evening. At sunrise and sunset, it looks like a big bright star. It is bright because Venus has a cloud cover that reflects the sunlight. These clouds are made up of gases. Venus is about 67 million miles, or twice as far away from the sun as what Mercury was. It is hot there. Venus is almost the same size as planet Earth. 1 year on Venus is about 225 Earth days. A day on Venus is about 243 Earth days long because Venus rotates even slower than Mercury. On Venus, a day is longer than a year, and a year is shorter than a day. Isn't that silly? So it takes longer for Venus to rotate once completely on its own axis than it does for it to take to circle the sun. So it circles the sun faster than it rotates around. Earth. I think we know this planet. Earth is the third planet from the sun, and it's the only planet known to have just the right environment for plants, animals, and people to live in. Do you guys know what the word environment is? Earth is about 93 million miles from the sun. Our environment is what we live in. It's made up of the water and the ground and the plants and the air. All of that makes up our environment. Planet Earth has just enough gravity to hold its atmosphere around it. Earth has how many moons? Yes, we only have one moon. Earth orbits the sun in about 365 days to make up an Earth year. It rotates every 24 hours to make an Earth day. And the moon orbits a planet, and the moon has no light of its own. The light we see when we see the moon, it's reflected from the sun. The sun shines off the moon, and that's why the moon looks bright when we see it at night. Mars is the fourth planet from the sun. about 142 million miles away. People wonder if there ever was life on Mars. Although the surface of Mars is dry now, we believe it once had rivers and maybe even an ocean on it. In 2004, the Mars Exploration Rover mission sent 2 robotic vehicles to examine the planet's surface. Scientists may still find evidence of life forms there on Mars. Astronomers believe that Mars looks red because iron on its surface has been rusted by the planet's thin atmosphere. Iron is a metal, and you ever have anything that you left outside or it's got all wet and it rusts, it turns red, and that's why they think Mars is rusty. It's very cold, and it's a little more than half the size of planet Earth. Mars has 2 small moons. 1 year on Mars is about 2 Earth years. A day on Mars is about as long as a day on Earth. So that means Mars rotates almost once every 24 hours, just like Earth does. Jupiter is the 5th planet from the Sun. It's about 484 million miles away. Oh my goodness, that's a long ways. And it is a huge planet. It's bigger than all the other planets put together, and it has very thin rings around it. Jupiter's mostly made up of gases. Some of the gases form a giant red circle called the Great Red Spot. Can you see it right there? That's the Great Red Spot on Jupiter. And if you look through a telescope, you can see that pretty easily. At least 62 moons orbit around the planet Jupiter. One moon, Ganymede, is the biggest moon in the solar system. It's bigger than planet Mercury. Another moon, called Good Luck, I don't know, it's not called Good Luck. It's pronounced, according to this, Io, even though it's spelled L-O. I'd call it low, but it says Io, has many active volcanoes. One Jupiter year is almost 12 Earth years long. It has short days, just under 10 Earth hours long. So that great big giant planet circles all the way around every 10 hours. Saturn is the 6th farthest planet from the Sun. It's about 886 million miles away. It's the 2nd largest planet. Saturn's thousands of rings make it look different from the other planet. The rings are made up of ice and rock. Some pieces are as big as houses. On Saturn, it's very, very, very cold. But Saturn is the only planet you can see these rings around very clearly. Saturn has at least 60 moons, a lot like Jupiter. Titan, its largest moon, is the only moon in the solar system with a very dense atmosphere. That means like very thick. It takes almost 30 Earth years for Saturn to orbit the Sun. Saturn rotates in about 11 Earth hours. So I've been alive 60 years, and Saturn has only gone around the Sun twice since I've been alive, but Earth has gone around the Sun 60 times since I've been alive. Uranus is the 7th planet from the Sun. It's about 1.8 billion with a B miles away. It is so far away that from its surface the Sun would look very, very tiny. Uranus has 11 rings around it. Uranus is the 3rd biggest planet, about 1/3 the size of the planet Jupiter. At least 27 moons orbit around it. Planets farther from the Sun have longer orbits. They take more time to travel around the Sun. For Uranus to make one orbit takes about 84 Earth years. Uranus rotates in about 17 Earth hours, so kind of close. We take 24 hours to turn all the way around. It takes 17 hours to turn all the way around. But in my lifetime, Uranus hasn't gone completely around the Sun even one time yet. That takes a very, very long time for it to do that. Neptune is the 8th farthest planet from the Sun. It's about 2.8 billion miles. Maybe your mom can draw with a measurement stick and figure out how much a million and 100 million and a billion is. I'm going to make her work really hard when we do this stuff. Neptune appears to be blue because of a gas in its atmosphere. It's almost the same size as Uranus. See, you can tell. But Jupiter's so much bigger than all the rest of the planets. One of Neptune's 13 moons, Triton, is about the same size as planet Earth's moon. The spacecraft Voyager 2 visited Neptune in 1989, long before all of you young ladies were born. One Neptune year is 165 Earth years. Neptune rotates in about 16 Earth hours. So Voyager 2 is a space probe that we launched all the way back in 1989, and it traveled all the way through our solar system from Earth, past Mars, past Jupiter, past Saturn, past Uranus, all the way to Neptune. And it took pictures of Neptune for us. After its discovery in 1930, Pluto was known as the 9th planet in our solar system. Now there are 8 planets because of its size and unusual orbit. It's been classified as a dwarf or small planet. Sometimes its orbit carries it closer to the Sun than Neptune. At its farthest, Pluto's about 4.6 billion miles from the Sun. Pluto is cold. It is smaller than Earth's moon, and it has 3 known moons of its own. The largest one is called Charon. 1 year on Pluto is about 248 Earth years long. A day on Pluto is about 6 Earth days long. Here on planet Earth, astronomers search the skies through telescopes. Spacecraft are sent into the solar system and beyond in search of new discoveries. We use satellite systems to help us see outside of the Earth's atmosphere to get better pictures of our solar system and the planets. We're always learning about the planets, the stars, and what lies beyond. It's fun to search the night skies for planets and stars from our planet Earth. That's the end. So I think tonight you guys should go out right when it gets dusk outside and look for the brightest thing in the sky. And that will probably be Venus. And then you say, "Hi, Venus." And then you can say, "Hi, Uncle John." And I'm saying, good night.